Welcome back. Well, you can usually tell if a national sporting event is a big deal by who's on the microphone for that game. Vin Scully and Al Michaels and Marv Albert, guys like that. Well, in North Dakota, that big-time voice belongs to a guy named Gary Rogers. He's been behind the microphone for nearly 50 years, and as you'll see in this story, he's got a fiery passion for a few other things as well. David Brown has the story.
As a small kid, a little boy, and there's fire trucks across the street, yeah, I'm gonna go over there.
There's always that initial fascination, something that just grabs your attention and never lets go. But where that leads is anyone's guess. For Gary Rogers, it led to 38 years of volunteer service for the Wahpeton Fire Department.
The camaraderie and the friendship that you have, and it's, I'm covering your backside, you're covering my backside. You're going into a burning building with somebody, you want to make sure that they're behind you and they're not going to run out on you.
The bond between a firefighter and his unit, the trust, the reliance, and the passion are matched by Gary's other bond and other initial fascination.
Toss left to go to Lingen, trying to find a block, cuts back in. Lingen has got running room. He's to the 10, to the 5, touchdown.
I listened to the radio all the time when I was at home. Listening downstairs, listening to Jack Buck at KMOX in St. Louis, Paul Rader at KSDN in Aberdeen, some of the play-by-play guys that I enjoyed listening to, and I thought, that, I'd kind of like to do that.
Growing up near Aberdeen, South Dakota, Gary did whatever he could to get his deep baritone voice out.
Mishandled, ball on the turf, fumble recovery, Wahpeton.
Even at some of the school dances, I was the DJ playing the songs at the sock hops, what they were called back then, and well, it just kind of continued on.
After high school, Gary went on to the Brown Institute in Minneapolis for a 9-month program, where he fine-tuned the sounds listeners across the region have heard for nearly 50 years.
35-40, 45 out to midfield, Lingen on the carry out to midfield.
I had a double L problem. Instead of saying yellow, I would say yellow. But they corrected that. It's just these small things in radio that you listen to try and be a professional. And that was one little glitch, and they gave me some diction exercises, and we whipped that within a month or two.
After jobs in Mobridge and Aberdeen coming out of school, Gary took a position at KBMW Radio in Wahpeton, North Dakota in 1967, and he's been working in town ever since.
Touchdown Wahpeton, a very quick touchdown for Wahpeton.
Soon after his arrival, he realized his childhood dream had gotten him to the point where he could indulge his other childhood passion.
I was driver engineer more times than not. When I came to Wahpeton, I was kind of a part-time news director at the radio station here, and I was going to the fires anyway, and I thought, you know, I might as well join. We have units on each side of the tracks that can respond.
Volunteering with the department and calling play-by-play may seem like polar, or in this case, fiery opposites, but only mandatory retirement back in 2005 has prevented Gary from doing both jobs today.
This is a pumper. Turning 60 wasn't a big deal, but leaving the fire department hurt after being with the department for 38 and a half years.
The hat of Gary's old number 24 still resides in the station where he's fondly remembered, and where he still takes pride in how they protect the town that's become his home.
Every one of our pumps are 1,500 gallon per minute.
The finer points, those numbers, those details can make all the difference in the world, whether it's battling a blaze or grappling on the gridiron, which is why Gary takes pride in keeping all of his memories alive.
The first football game that I remember, I did Java at Bowdle, and my broadcast vantage point was the hood of my car sitting down toward the end of the end zone.
Lobs a pass downfield, and it's intercepted Wahpeton.
If Gary's voice isn't popular enough around the region, his recollection of names, places, and events certainly gets him noticed.
Had a lot of people say, you need to put something else on your hard drive.
Good luck. Thank you very much.
From all the friends he's made over the years.
Len Morrissey at KSDN in Aberdeen, Chuck Diamond, Danny Olson, Norm Hilson, Mike Cannon, who was a Big Ten official, Ken Thury, who is a Parkston, South Dakota native.
To keeping track of the number of games he's called,
Tonight, 4,754, broadcast number 4754.
the man known as GR has left his footprint, or more appropriately his voice, within the hearts and minds of adoring fans.
Left side, got a man open at the 18, 15 to the 10, to the 5, touchdown.
One of the best compliments I ever had was from a blind person here in Wahpeton. Had a friend write a letter, and I got the letter and said, I just enjoy your game so much. And I knew the gentleman and knew he was blind. He said, I can sit and listen. He said, you give the color of the uniform, the way the ball, the floor is lined up, or the football field or whatever. He said, I can just sit there and imagine the entire game. He said, and he used it. He said, you do the game in Technicolor.
And while his age prevents him from fighting fires, it won't prevent him from being at the arena, the ballpark, or the football field.
People say, well, when are you going to retire? I say, well, why retire? I get paid to go to the ball game and I don't have to pay to go in.
But when it is all said and done, and he says his usual goodbye for the very last time,
My trademark sign-off is Gary Rogers, good night and good sporting.
he hopes everyone can appreciate what his style has brought to the local sports landscape.
Hopefully that everybody will think that, yeah, GR did a heck of a job.
From Cowboy Field in Breckenridge, Minnesota, Gary Rogers, good night and good sporting.
All right, David Brown, if that is your real name.
It is my real name.
Here's one thing that people probably don't realize about Gary Rogers, though. That's not his real name.
It is not, Tom.
Really?
His real name is actually Roger Fradine. Now, the interesting thing is, in college, he was essentially told, I have to have a stage name. So he wanted to incorporate Roger, which is, of course, his real first name.
Okay.
That's the Rogers part. Now, Gary is more interesting. He wanted to choose George's middle name, but he didn't like the sound of consecutive soft G's.
Okay.
So he randomly chose Gary. There is no rhyme or reason for Gary. He just wanted a hard G, and that's how you have Gary Rogers.
Very nice. All right, thanks,
Thank
David
you.
Brown. And thank you for watching MIdco Sports Magazine.